Hey folks, how you doing? It's Liam here from Bionic Viking, and welcome to another episode of Hype. Today we'll be taking a look at the new space shooter coming from developer Bungie by the name of Destiny, which I'm sure you've heard of, and if you haven't, check out the website, check out their YouTube page. They have plenty of content on it. You'll see some of the video that they've released, the gameplay footage, and the trailer footage that they've released in this video, but to get a bit more of a, uncut view on it, you can always check out those uncut videos at the site or at the YouTube page. Now today I'll be discussing what I think needs to be done, or what they've already done, but what they had to do during the development stage to make this, an enjoyable game and, to live up to the hype that it's actually had, because I'm pretty sure that this was, at least for me, this was one of the games that really stuck out at E3. And I know that a lot of people have really high expectations. This is the first game after Halo that Bungie's actually released and developed and had, a large influence on. So, a lot of people are really curious, really excited. So yeah, we'll get into it, man. I think that, overall, the Destiny universe seems to be pretty deep. So far, we already know that the premise is set 700 years into the future, where humans have gone out and colonized surrounding planets in the solar system, so I guess Mars, the moon. They haven't really detailed it, but hopefully there's a whole bunch of planets that are really, worth exploring and worth going to. But as a player, you'll be controlling a defender of humanity, more or less, known as Guardian, which travels to investigate alien planets which may be occupied by inhabitants who pose a threat to the continuation of humankind. Now this is a pretty unique premise. Of course space shooters have done this before, going abroad and going out to different planets, but it seems that this is, you're playing, the humans are under threat, is basically the point. You need to be going out there and isolating alien threats so we can continue to live. So I think that's pretty cool, and it takes place after a long period of peace and prosperity, I suppose. But that's really all we know about the game right now. Now, what I think it needs to do to at least meet or even surpass the hype is, I think one of the main points is make the game difficult where it needs to be. The biggest thing that an MMO suffers from, and WoW has suffered greatly from this over the years. Initially it didn't really have this problem, but I know that Guild Wars had this problem. I know that a lot of MMOs have encountered this problem where after a while nothing's difficult. It's just the gear you get is way too good. I think Borderlands had this issue as well, personally, but the gear that you get is just way too good, and like nothing's a challenge. There's no point in going and doing this, doing a huge dungeon, because you're just gonna wipe it. So I think that's really important. I think that there are a lot of MMOs that have suffered from this, and if they can avoid that and make sure that there are really difficult points, like one of the best examples I can give is one of my favorite games of all time, Kingdom Hearts 2, had a Sephiroth boss, which was fucking impossible unless you beat the game, and really maxed out your character, and even then it was just so difficult. So maybe not to that point, maybe a couple enemies like that, but definitely a challenge. You hate to buy a game and then just breeze through it. So I think they also need to introduce unique customizations for for gear and for character. Obviously you are limited to playing as a human, but hopefully the arm is really badass and there's a lot in there, because one of the worst things to have in an MMO is not enough content. You don't want to be able to just end game it straight off. And if you do that, if you can beat the game in 30 hours, then, is it really an MMO? What am I meant to, oh, okay, well, I can play competitive multiplayer, but, you want some more PvE stuff chucked in there. So, yeah, I think that another really important thing is discussing the multiplayer is that it needs to be something that you can put a lot of time into as well, and has rewards that correlate both to, player versus player and player versus environment aspects of the game. Now, I think that they need to have gear that is enticing, that's worth going after, and plentiful. You need to have a lot of fucking gear, because, like I said, man, if you want to play the MMO game, then you want to have a lot of shit to do. I think they also need to really, in the PvE side of things, I mean, obviously, on the player versus player aspect, will be limited to maps. But I think it's really important that you know, when you're questing with buddies, that they create a world that truly feels borderless. You know, a plethora of populated areas on each planet that are filled with, you know, worthwhile tasks, mobs, bosses, you know, gear, like whatever it is. Just make everything. You know, Skyrim really had that. That's what made Skyrim great, is that you could go out into the wilderness and just find an ogre, or you could find, you know, a thief's keep or some random shit, and that was awesome. So that needs to be done. Excuse me, I have a fucking cold right now that's giving me the sniffles. But I think it needs to definitely be difficult to end game. You know, you don't want to be able to just finish it, because that's one of the worst things, man. I know that, especially with Burning Crusade, when that came out, you know, that was a great expansion. But when you know, getting to 70 wasn't really that hard, and then when you were there wasn't really much to do. So I think it'd be really important to do that, especially, you know, coming into the uncharted territory of a shooter MMO. So yeah, I would expect at least to be able to put, I doubt I'll have the time to, but to put at least 100 hours. I mean, I don't think that's too much to ask. You know, relying on the amount of fucking hype that they've had so far. So yeah, and they also need to make efforts to keep the community interested. You know, holiday events, or, you know, challenges, daily challenges, or whatever it is, just something to keep people coming back. Because like I said, man, there's nothing worse than just having something that claims to be an MMO of not having enough content. You know, you always want to be on and you always want to be able to get on and do something with buddies, or, you know, quest by yourself, whatever it is, just always have something to do. I think that's really important. And you know, Bungie doesn't really have a lot of, I don't think they've made one MMO, so it'll be really interesting how they approach this. And I think either way they do it, I'm going to be interested in playing it. The things that the Bungie need to avoid is creating a linear, short game that results in reused mechanics and a flat story. There's nothing worse, man. You need a rich universe that you know, that attracts you to come and just fucking flesh it all out, man. Just go in and see, well, all right, well, I'm interested in this part, or you know, I want to see what's happening over here. If you just get off a ship and you're like stuck on a quest, like on a path, you know, you can't go out and search randomly, or you can't, you know, that's going to be a bit of a bummer. But you know, I guess if they can make that work, then they can make it work. I'd just really like to see this game, you know, truly represent one of the best MMOs of all time in WoW, and hopefully make corrections where Blizzard hasn't, which would be a pretty amazing thing. I think if they do that, they could probably compete for Game of the Year, just for the sheer reason that it's a studio that doesn't have any experience in an MMO, you know, battleground, but they're still bringing stuff out. And the last thing that I think is crucial is if this game comes out and it has a lack of diverse landscapes, a lack of diverse enemies, and a lack of diverse gear, it's not going to be worth playing. It's just not. Like, there's no point in doing it. Why are you going to pour, you know, 30 hours into a game when you're versing the same enemies with the same abilities, and you're not upgrading? You're like, you know, you're not making significant leaps and bounds with your gear. And you know, so I think that rounds out pretty much everything I have to say about Destiny. Either way, I'll be picking it up first day on PlayStation 4, for the simple reason that I don't know, I just like I like the PlayStation controller better, and the competitive multiplayer. I got a couple buddies on PlayStation that are real Destiny hounds. So it'll be interesting to see, though. Either way, even if this bombs, I'll be interested to see how Bungie goes about it. But Bungie has always been a really good developing studio when it comes to listening to the community, making corrections. So even if it doesn't ship perfect, you know, maybe they can work on it. But anyway, guys, this has been Liam from Bionic Viking. Thank you very much for watching and listening. If you'd like to leave a rating on the video, go ahead, or come in with a comment and discuss it. I'll be more than happy to reply. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.